Okay, smart targets. It's a weird question, I'll give you that on this one, but they're so frequently worded like this, it's weird. So when setting goals to improve performance, so that's a really key bit, because loads of people don't think of why we set SMART goals. You just say, I know what SMART stands for because that's what I've been taught. So when setting goals to improve performance in physical activity, applying SMART targets is a key factor to be successful. And ironically, both that word and that word, if you use in your answer, you'd have got better marks. The statements below are examples of targets. So A, B and C. I need to reduce my 1500 metre time by 1 minute as soon as possible. I will improve my 50 metre breaststroke time by 2 seconds in the next 2 months. I want to complete a 5-mile run in under 45 minutes. Okay, so first question, apart from measurable, because we can measure this time, we can measure this time, we can measure this time, identify the principle of SMART target that has been applied to all three. Okay, so on this one here, where we've got, I need to reduce my 1500 metre time, that's specific. I want to reduce my time in the 1500. I want to improve my 50 metre breaststroke, so that's specific. And I want to complete a 5-mile run, that's a specific event. So when we go down, before we've even gone to measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound, I've already got those areas to look by. Now, one of the confusing ones I think some people got with time bound is you've put by 1 minute, that's the measurable element, not the time bound. You've just said as soon as possible. You haven't given a time frame. What does as soon as possible mean? Does that mean today? If I said I want that work from you as soon as possible, is that 2 days' time, 5 days' time, a month's time? What does that actually mean? So the time-bound one, that's an example where they really threw a lot of people where they went for time-bound instead of specific. You don't know if it's achievable and realistic because the information's too vague for us to even work that one out. You might say if they're a beginner and you want them to compete in the Olympics that year, just by starting out, you would know that that's not realistic or achievable, so you'd know that. So specific was what we were looking for 1A, but I understand why some of you went with time bound because you literally saw numbers and went, they're all time bound, surely time bound's a better option. Explain which of these targets above would be the most effective improving performance in physical activity according to SMART principles. So which one of these is the most effective? So B's the answer, and the reason why B's the answer, I will improve my 50 metre breaststroke, so specific, by 2 seconds, so that's measurable, in the next 2 months. So that is time bound. We need to know a little bit more about how much that is. If they're beginners, is 2 seconds well too far? If they're an elite, a 2-second gain is a huge gain. You wouldn't expect that in that time frame. It would be maybe a year or 2 years to beat your PB by that far. So you need a little bit more information, but you definitely know that's 3 things. So we know the rest are specific, so that's good. I need to reduce my 1500 by 1 minute as soon as possible. We know that wasn't time bound, and I want to complete a 5-mile run in under 45 minutes. So we've got the kind of thing to say, yep, I've done that in under 45 minutes. But again, I don't know when it comes to time bound, I don't know if that's realistic or not. I don't know what you can you even run that much already? What's your time already? Are you reducing it by a minute or 2? So there's not enough information on it. So the best example is B. And the reason for it is they've given themselves a 2-month deadline, okay, which is the time bound. They can measure and monitor their progress. And this is important. Whenever you're looking at SMART targets, why do we set them? We want to measure and monitor. Are we being successful? Are we not? We can change if we're not. We can add more things in, or we can work harder. This will motivate them to achieve it. So we want to be successful. We want to be motivated to achieve it. We need to monitor their performance, and we need to be specific with that. So we've said an example. So we've gone for here a 2-month deadline. You could have spoken about a different example to say that you've given yourself a specific time, so you can keep time in yourself, so you can look at the measurable aspect of it. But again, B gets you a mark, explaining why you needed to go for the 3 factors. So apply an example of which one of the smarts you're talking about measuring and monitoring their progress, so you can adjust, change or be happy, and then finally motivating to achieve. So if you're just off your target, you work harder to get it, etc. As I said, the wording of this question is a bit pants.